everyone, and welcome to Simply Made Homestead. Now, many of you have been wanting an update on the quail, and today's video is just that. We are going to update you on the quail, and we are going to talk about some future plans, some new ideas on housing them. So be sure and stick around to the end. Now, before we get there to that, I do want to talk to you, any of you new viewers out there, to give you a little rundown of what we have, what I have behind me here. This is our grow out pen. Once we hatch our quail, I move them over into a puppy pen, and it works out great. It's all sealed up on top with a little netting, so you don't have to worry about them flying out, because they start doing their flutter and flying really early on, and they stay there until they are 3 weeks old. Now, after that, we will move them to the grow out pen. Some people can sex their quail earlier than others. So at 3 weeks you can look, because they are all feathered out, you know, and you can look. I have not been able to do it yet at 3 weeks. This last time, it takes a little bit. It took me a while, even past 8 weeks. They're considered mature at 8 weeks. It took me past that to really be able to figure it out the first time. This last time, I guess it was about 6, 7 weeks before I was able to tell, but I was really tickled by that, because at 8 weeks they start, you know, breeding and doing all that and fighting, because they are, you know, ready to pick their girls, and they were fighting over the girls. We do have a playlist for raising quail where you can learn how to build a quail cage, you can learn how to make the automatic waterer, how to lessen the waste, because they like to flip their food around, how to sex your quail, all of those things. So be sure and check that out if you have quail, or if you're interested in starting quail. Now, when they are 3 weeks old and they are ready to go into the grow out pen, this is 2 by 8 feet long. So I like to put no more than 15 quail per level. I would go, if I had them, maybe closer to 20, but I would really, you know, start watching them so I can move them over as soon as I can. We have the 2 levels because I put the male on one level and the female on the other. Now, once they mature and they get older, at about 8 weeks, they'll start laying eggs. So at that time, once they get fully matured, I like to keep them until then, because I want to be able to see which ones are the healthier. Sometimes you'll just come in here, it's only happened to us a couple of times, but where there's just a quail laying there dead, and they're really young. So there was something going on with that quail, that something was wrong, you know. So, but anyway, up until that point, you can keep an eye on your quail. You can see which ones look healthier, which ones are weighing heavier, which ones that you want to keep for a breeding flock. Now, once I get to that point that I decide, okay, I really like you and I really like you, so anyway, that's when I can start picking them out and start putting them in their other pens with their males, the females, the 5 females and 1 male, and I do that. And that I like the 5-to-1 ratio, because even now we have 1 male and 10 females in here, and their little feathers get a little ruffled on the back. Who's going to be the sweet baby that's going to let me catch you? Come here, baby. All right, come here. Come here. Yes, it's okay. It's okay. I know. I had to pick the boy of all things. So this is the male, and look at him. Oh, calm down. Oh, he's going to do a stinky for us. Okay, come on, dude. Come on. So you see how his little feathers are kind of, let me let them focus in there. See how they're kind of ruffled there? So they all jump on each other and get to pecking. But I have actually, look at this one. Maisie, no. Isn't he pretty? Oh, he's a pretty little thing. But anyway, I have seen some that, not always a male. Sometimes you just got a mean quail in there, and they'll pick on each other, and they'll pure bloody each other, pull out all the feathers and bloody each other. And I even had one that had its little eye pecked out. So my suggestion is, if you have a mean bird, don't keep it. Send it to freezer camp and replace it with one that gets along with everybody. Now you'll see inside here our feeders here. These come from Stromberg's chickens. They are absolutely fabulous. We love them. They're, I think, the 9.5 inch. I will leave links below to the trays, to the feeders, to the different things that we use in our systems. But you can fill this up and it lasts, I don't know, 5-7 days. It takes a while for it to run down. The trays we get from AutoZone or Advanced Auto. When we got these, it's been a couple years, they were $11, $12, $10, $11, $12 now. I don't know, with inflation. We have an automatic watering system, which I'll show you in a minute because we're going to water the quail this morning. And in here I have these little sand pails. And guys, they love these sand pails. They really, really love these sand pails. I got these at the Everything's $1, which now with inflation, everything's $1.25. Quite the increase. Excuse the messy little dirty pails, but that's just part of having birds. But anyway, super cheap. I mean, can't go wrong. Just throw a little builder sand in there. You can get it at the hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, and they love it. They get so excited. When I come in here with the pail, it's like they know new sand's been added, and they just all start jumping in. They love it. Now that we are kind of sort of getting settled in on our new homestead, I am going to get some eggs over into the incubator, which I'm going to take you there in just a minute and show you how to get started and a little bit about that process. But we're going to start hatching some babies. Now, since I do have only one male with 10 females, I don't expect a great hatch rate. I really expect it to be pretty minor, actually, pretty minimal, but that's okay, because our goal, even though I kept like a couple of pastels and a couple of the little Rosetta and things like that, because I like the coloring so much, our homestead is, it's a homestead. It's to become self-sufficient, and our quail are here to provide us as a meat source. So we are going to migrate more towards the jumbos because you get more meat per bird. Now, before we head inside to the incubator, I'm going to take you along with me while I clean the cages and we get them some fresh water. I'm going to show you just how easy it is. Now, this is all there is to it. You just pull the tray out and done. Super easy. And then I used to use the fine shavings. Now I just use the regular because I get the regular for the goat pens, and it works just as good. I thought the fine might give a little more coverage, but this works great. And depending on the time of year, when it's cool out, it takes a while for it to get smelly or anything. So you can literally only change it, about, I don't know, once a week. Usually when it's cool like that, and I do, if I'm going to leave it longer, I do put more shavings down. But because it's cool out, it doesn't get smelly. So I will do that. Now in the summertime, I will actually, when it gets hot and the flies and all that kind of stuff, I'll change this out every couple of days. And I will put a lighter layer of shavings down here because I am going to be dumping it more often. And when I do, when there's a lighter layer, usually there's, might be a little poop up stuck to the pan. I just use one of these little doohickey things here and scrape it out. It works out great. And the pans too, they're real easy to take out and just hose them down if you need to. They dry really quick. There we go. Back into the little bottom cage there it goes. Now these cages too are built to where there's a screw right here. It has an inner floor where you can literally take them out and you can spray them down. When you go to clean your cage, you can take the floors out and spray them down really good, and you get them really clean that way because it gets down in the crack there and you just can't get it, you know. We have a pressure washer and you still, you know, you just can't get all the way down in there. My goodness, did I scare you? Now with the sand and the sand pails, I don't have to add sand very often. And usually when I add sand, you can go back later on. And sometimes they like to go to the bathroom in their pans. And so I get a little kitty litter scoop and I'll scoop it out, and that way it's still clean and ready to go. They love to lay their eggs in it. They really enjoy that. Here is the watering system, but you can look in there and you'll be able to see if it's dirty or if it needs to be cleaned. And now would be the time. See, it's nice, you can't see it here. They do have, there actually is about that much above this hole inside the bucket, but it's not enough to actually show here. So once it gets down that low, I knew yesterday I would have done it then, but I wanted to make this video today. And so that way you can tell when it needs water. But when it gets that low, you just, this valve down bottom, you open it up, drain the rest of the water, then you can take it out, dump it, rinse it, wash it, whatever you want to do. Now, periodically we do run vinegar through the system, and just to make sure, you know, get all the yucky stuff cleaned out there. We love using vinegar as a cleaning source versus using bleach. Now, we'll just fill it up. Just stretch the water hose out here, and off we go. And you can see here where it's going up, and it makes it really nice. Now before, if you don't want to add this, you don't have to add that. You don't have to do that. We have a video on just building the watering system, and then my husband did one on adding this on there just to make your life a little more convenient. But otherwise, I would come along and just kind of lift the bucket, you know, and to see how heavy it felt, to know if I needed to climb the ladder and take a look and see what I needed to do. Now, if you have your quail cage where sun is shining on this bucket, it will need to be changed or cleaned out more often, because that sun, it creates that algae, and we don't want that in there. Need to make sure your water's nice and clean for your animals. Every time I read up on animals, the most best thing you can do for them is to have clean, fresh water. So there you go. The lid on top keeps it nice and clean. We don't have to worry about any debris getting in there. We can keep a check here to be able to know what our water level is. And it's just a really, really cool system. All right, so let's get some eggs. Our last little collection of eggs out of here. Come on, babies. See all the 3 of them in the box. And I'm going to gather their eggs. Now, I gathered eggs late yesterday, and here are 5, 6, 7, 9 more eggs. I'm telling you, these girls do a good job. Now, you can see here, this is what they laid right here. And I can see that one's one of the bigger ones, and this one, and maybe even that one right there. But I'm gonna put them in a carton, and then you can really tell the difference. Okay, so here are the eggs in the carton, as you can see here. And you can see, if you look at them at an angle, you can really see which ones are bigger, the bigger eggs. So I am going to pull those out and add them to my incubator here. Now, like I said, we've had 1 male to 10 females, so I'm not expecting a very good hatch rate, but that's okay, because I want jumbos. So I'm picking out the large eggs, and we're going to work towards hatching those, as many as we get. That'll be great, and we're just going to continue doing that until we can build up our jumbo flock. Now, this is the incubator that I use. I got it from Tractor Supply. I'm sure there's lots of other places that you can pick them up as well. I've been very pleased with it. It's a Pro Series Farm Innovators model 4250. And it is, I mean, I would love to have one of those big cabinet incubators, you know, and I may do it this year. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it has, I have no complaints with this one. When you purchase your incubator, it will come with the egg rails, regular chicken egg rails. And I had to purchase these egg rails here for Quail. I purchased them from Amazon. I will leave you a link below in the description box for those as well. And it is a little bit of a trick. It's easy to replace them once you know how. Before that point, you feel like you're going to break your incubator. And some people probably have, but I just went to searching. It took me a long time to find any information on how to change them out. But anyway, I do have a video on how to do that, so be sure and check that out too if you need some help. Now, to start with, first thing we're going to do, this right here has 2 fill holes. So we have fill hole number 1 and fill hole number 2. Now I have lost both of the plugs, so I use wine corks now. But it works. The first thing we're going to do is add some water to the fill hole, the number 1 fill hole side. And it doesn't take much water. And it's really easy to overfill, so especially when you're pouring it from a pitcher. So be sure and just add a little bit in there. When we get our eggs started, you want your humidity to be between 40 and 50%. I like about, you know, between 40 and 45. So next we have this right here that comes with it. We're going to put that in there because that way it'll be all set. We're getting it all set up for the entire hatching process. Now, another thing, you will see I started collecting my eggs and placing them in this, the egg turner. And it's plugged in, and I'm letting it turn it because while your eggs sit, if they just sit there, they will tend to stick to the shell. The yolk will tend to stick to the shell. And this movement, it helps to keep the yolk loose and moving within the shell. So as I'm collecting them, now you only want to collect your eggs, they say 5 to 10 or 7 to 10 days, but I keep it at 7. You have a higher fertility rate that way. So after at least no more than 10, make sure, I like to put them in here and just let it run, and that way you rotate it. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can come in here and you can just lift one side of the carton, like put them in their cartons, and you would lift one side, and then, you know, 12 hours later you can lift the other side, but you have to be sure and do that, okay? All right, so we're going to just place it down in here like that. Whoops, break me some eggs while I'm getting them in there. And then we will place the lid on. There's a little hole where the cord goes out there. This incubator, it is in our spare bedroom. I like to hatch them in the house in a more constant temperature, because that way the incubator doesn't have to work so hard to try to keep it where it needs to be. And if it's really hot outside, it can make the incubator run hotter, which can cause all kind of problems with your hatches, and cooler. I mean, it's just, you need a more constant temperature. So, all right, we're going to plug this in. All right, so we are all plugged in, and now we need to get it set to where we want it to be. So you hold down the mode button, and then it'll start flashing with the temperature. It's starting at 99.5, which that's where we want it to be. Now for Quail, we're going to set it to 17, because that's how many days Quail need to hatch. Set it to 17. And then the next little box shows the humidity that is actually in there right now. It's showing 54%, which we just put water in. It should start lowering a little bit later when everything just kind of adjusts to the atmosphere that it's in here. This light right here, that lets you know that this has gone outside the range of where it needs to be. Because we set our temperature at 99.5, so if it goes below 99 or above 100, that light's going to flash. So that tells you something is wrong. You need to check it out, see what you need to do. Now, I am going to leave those just like that. Now, I will check on it probably several times a day, to check my temperature, to check my humidity, to make sure things are where they need to be, and I will adjust it when it needs to be adjusted. So remember, your humidity between 40 and 50. I like between 40 and 45 myself, but as long as it's below 50, you're okay, you're in good shape. And I'm gonna give it about 7 days, and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna take you along with me, so be watching for the video, and we're gonna candle the eggs, and we're gonna see what we got. Many of you are probably wondering, okay, well, these quail cages have been working out great. Why are you wanting to move them? Well, for one thing, it like in our other homestead, it really took up a lot of space inside the shop there. Now here at this house, we have them in our garage. We don't have a big shop outside, and plus it got really hot in there. We're in Central Florida, so in the summer we would put a fan. You can see the fan. Can you see the big fan? You can see that big fan right there. We turned that on them every day. They would come out here in the morning and we would turn it on them, and they would sit like right up against the screen right there, and for that fan to blow on them. Well, here at this homestead, but we've got lots of shade in our property, and so we want to move them out to build them housing that will protect them from the rain, but for them to live a more natural lifestyle, to have a more natural lifestyle, and to possibly, you know, keep our breeding stock separate from those that we raise just for meat, because I get attached. That's just the way it is. I love my animals. I love my garden. I really am very much drawn to these things. I have also had several people ask me about quail and wind, and about them, the wind affecting their egg production or the size of their eggs and things like that. They have always had lots of wind blowing on them. This fan blows mighty hard. They love it. Now, if your quail have been raised inside a completely closed room, a little more domesticated, you know, than what ours have been, with the fans and things like that blowing on them, and you put them outside, it might just freak them out a little bit. They might quit laying for a little while, because just like anytime you move chickens, you know, to a different location, they might kind of hold back for a little bit until they get comfortable and start laying again. But they are wild birds. You have to remember that. They are wild birds. They're used to the breed itself. They adapt very well to the climate that they live in. So I really don't see that as a problem. It has not been a problem for us. Our egg size, a decrease in egg production has only occurred with them in the winter, and we still get eggs. We just don't get near as many. You know, it's like the chickens, they lay 1 or 2. You know, the quail, they lay just a few instead of a bunch. So, you know, it's the same ordeal. Now, the only thing we have had a little bit of a problem with from time to time are soft shells. Now, I do throw mealworms into their little sand buckets, which that's another thing. You could put a little free choice of really small, you may have to grind it yourself, calcium in there, little grit and things like that. We get the chick grit. I'll throw that into the sand pail, and they go in there and they gobble it up. They really enjoy that sand, and I think that is kind of what got me to thinking how much they enjoy that sand, about moving them outdoors so they can have the sand and the grass and all those things where we can build them little huts with sticks and things, and they can really live a more natural lifestyle. So that is our plan. We haven't gotten to it yet, guys, but it's going to be soon, not too far out. At least that's what we're hoping. Fingers crossed that nothing comes up that keeps us away from it for too long. But until then, we are going to be raising these right here in the middle of the garage, and we've got eggs in the incubator. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, be sure and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so you won't miss any new videos coming up. And if you would like to help us in any way, if you could share us with friends and family and all across social media, it would just be a huge help to us. We are building a homestead from scratch, and we would just love for all of you to come along with us. And if you ever have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Just be sure and leave them in the comment section below. Until next time, take care and God bless.